For today's Business Matters, going head-to-head, Boeing has come out on top over Lockheed Martin. The aerospace giant has been awarded the contract to build the most sophisticated fighter jet yet for the U.S. Air Force. President Donald Trump, who is the 47th president, announced the jet's new name, F-47. And this comes as Boeing's commercial operations have struggled with its best-selling 737 MAX jet, and its defense operations have been weighed down by underperforming contracts. This new contract is worth more than $20 billion just for the engineering and manufacturing development. Boeing will rake in hundreds of billions to make the jets during the contract's multi-decade lifetime. A prescription for 4 new J&J plants in the U.S. Johnson & Johnson plans to spend more than $55 billion on the new facilities. This is partially in response to President Trump threatening a 25% tariff on pharmaceutical imports. The new plants will be built over the next 4 years. The pharmaceutical giant broke ground today on its new facility in Wilson, North Carolina. The site is expected to create 5,000 jobs during construction and more than 500 roles across the state. The site will focus on producing medicines used for treating cancer, immune-mediated and neurological diseases. The Secret Service is working on next-generation SUVs for the presidential fleet. On X, the agency said Director Sean Curran met with General Motors executives to talk about advancements that would benefit the new armored SUVs. Homeland Security and the Secret Service awarded GM a nearly $15 million contract in September to develop the next-generation presidential limousine, nicknamed the Beast. The agency shared a photo from the meeting of a Cadillac Escalade SUV with the presidential flag next to the presidential seal. A spokesperson said it's too far out for specific costs or release dates for the SUV. Klarna is continuing to team up with more big-name partners ahead of its IPO launch. It was Walmart just a few days ago, and now DoorDash, enabling approved customers to eat now and pay later. NTD's Sean Marshall has more details.
Buy now, pay later is not typically something you'd associate with fast food. But that's exactly what's happening as DoorDash food delivery service is teaming up with Klarna in a new partnership announced Thursday. Klarna is a financial service company that lets customers schedule small payments over a set period of time. Such services are typically used on larger purchases like furniture. When the option launches soon, DoorDash users can use Klarna to pay for food in 4 interest-free payments or deter payments and let people pick a date that aligns with their paycheck schedules, according to a press release. Many companies have traditionally been wary of letting people use buy now, pay later for food purchases, possibly for ethical reasons, and Americans have recently been finding themselves in more and more debt. In the fourth quarter of last year, overall debt levels increased by 0.5% to over $18 trillion, according to a report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. The report also found a 14-year high in the share of households becoming seriously delinquent, a missed payment for 90-plus days on their auto loans and credit cards. The partnership with DoorDash comes as Klarna continues to expand its offerings ahead of going public with plans to list on the New York Stock Exchange in the coming weeks. The Swedish fintech company reported last week a 24% surge in 2024 revenue, cashing in on the buy now, pay later craze, which is projected to surpass $160 billion over the next 7 years. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
And it's mostly all aboard for President Trump's push to rebuild the U.S. shipbuilding industry. The initiative is seeing rare bipartisan support from Americans. In a new poll released today, 72% of people said the U.S. cannot remain dependent on China and other foreign producers to build ships. The survey showed strong concern about China's grip on the $150 billion global ocean shipping industry. About 70% of those polled agreed that the U.S. ability to build ships for commercial and military needs is a matter of national security. Around 10% said the U.S. could rely on China and other countries to build ships. Even though cruise tickets have gone up, travelers still want to hit the high seas. Cruise operator Carnival Corp has raised its annual profit forecast and beat estimates for first quarter profit and revenue. The company has noticed that Americans have been more willing to make early bookings for their getaways. Cruise lines typically offer heavy promotions starting in January, known as wave season. The cruise operator has also seen more spending on board during voyages. This has helped Carnival counter rising operation costs, including fuel and dock expenses. Nike forecasted a steeper drop than expected in fourth quarter revenue as the company hopes to rekindle interest among consumers who have felt left out of trendier rivals. Here's more.
The world's biggest sportswear maker sees a rocky road ahead. Nike is forecasting a steeper drop in its revenue for the current quarter than analysts expected. Earlier in the day, Nike posted results from December to February, its fiscal third quarter. They beat expectations thanks in part to a promising consumer response to new shoe launches. Shares rose immediately following that. But later, they reversed course after Nike CFO Matthew Friend said he predicts a steeper than expected drop this quarter. Analysts had predicted a 12% tumble, but he foresaw something close to the mid-teens. New CEO Elliott Hill fast-tracked new shoes that have performed well enough to give Nike some breathing room after several quarters of weak demand. He's been leading a turnaround since he took over in October, trying to take on trendy rivals like Hoka and On. However, Friend, the CFO, said that this quarter may look bleak as the company discounts old items to clear inventory and continues to rebuild relationships with retailers. Those ties had suffered when the last CEO, John Donahoe, shifted the company's focus to direct-to-consumer sales. While overall third-quarter revenues were down 9% to around $11 billion, in China that number was down 17%, which worried investors. Demand there suffers from concerns over job and wage security and a drawn-out slump in property. Friend stressed the need to focus on China on the earnings call. CEO Hill also outlined what he called Nike's Win Now strategy. The five-pillared plan includes building out a broad swath of new shoe products and boosting its ground game in 5 key cities: Los Angeles, New York, and London, and 2 of China's biggest cities, Beijing and Shanghai.
The White House says the United Arab Emirates has committed to a $1.4 trillion 10-year investment framework in the United States. This comes after top UAE officials met with President Donald Trump, Vice President J.D. Vance, and several cabinet members on Tuesday. According to a White House statement, the new framework will, quote, significantly increase the UAE's existing investments in the U.S. economy. Areas of investment include artificial intelligence, infrastructure, semiconductors, energy, and American manufacturing. Under the framework terms, UAE Investment Fund ADQ and its U.S. partner Energy Capital Partners announced a $25 billion U.S. program to invest in energy infrastructure and data centers. The international investment arm of the UAE's national oil company also announced a commitment to support U.S. natural gas production and exports. Pharmaceutical company AstraZeneca is investing billions in China. It will spend $2.5 billion on a research and development center in Beijing. And this comes as the drug maker scrambles to revive business crunch to media investment firm Regent. TechCrunch is a popular online platform reporting on global tech companies, startups, and entrepreneurs. With Yahoo, it was among the media assets of Verizon Communications. In 2021, private equity firm Apollo Global Management acquired Verizon's media assets for $5 billion, subsequently rebranding the combined assets under the Yahoo name. Regent has been actively expanding its tech news site portfolio. It recently acquired Foundry, the parent company of leading publications like PC World and Macworld. The TechCrunch deal is expected to close in the coming weeks. A new international airport and attention from President Trump could be the ticket to tourism in Greenland. Trump has doubled down on his pledge to make the Arctic island part of the U.S. This comes after the country opened a new international airport in its capital, Nuuk. United Airlines will offer direct flights from New York starting in June. Statistics Greenland reported a 14% year-on-year rise in the number of passengers on international flights to Greenland in January. The country is hoping the new airport will boost its tourism and mining industries to diversify the economy, which currently relies heavily on fishing. Okay, on to markets. S&P and Dow closed nearly unchanged today. So markets have been under some pressure in recent weeks as changing announcements about the timing and size of tariffs have clouded the outlook for corporate profits and as well as the Federal Reserve's monetary policy path. And stocks have shown some signs of bottoming this week, however, with the S&P 500 climbing more than 1% on Wednesday this past week in the wake of the Fed's latest policy announcement. With that, everything today on Business Matters.